Good morning, everyone. This is Theft from Segesta. I'm going to do the first half and then upload it. Segesta est oppidum pervectus. So here then, sorry, this is the first time I've done this for a little while, so apologies if I get any of this wrong as we're going through that. Let me practice my underlining. Yeah, but it's working. So, Segesta is a pervetus, is a very old town, is an ancient town in Sicily, Judges, quod, which demonstrant, which they say was conditum esse, indirect statement, which they say was founded by Aeneas when he was flying or fleeing from Troy into this place, Itaque. And so the Segestans are conjunctus, they are believing, or they believe themselves, and so the people of Segesta believe themselves to be connected with the Roman people, again indirect statement, believe themselves to be connected to the Roman people non solum, not only through a perpetual alliance and friendship, but also etiam, but also through a special relationship. This town, hoc, indeed this town, cum, when this town, when the state of the Segestans, so this town, condam, this town, when the state of Segestans was at war, so long ago, maybe, condam, long ago, when that state was at war with the Carthaginians, cum poenis, suo nomine, on its own account, ac sua sponte, and of its own accord, when it captum, literally when it had been captured by strength, when it had been stormed by the Carthaginians and was destroyed. So, this town, when the state was at war with the Carthaginians of its own accord and of its own accord, of its own account and of its own accord, was stormed and destroyed. So deletum est and captum est, the est governing each of the captum and the deletum. So it was taken by force and destroyed by the Carthaginians, and omnia, and everything, which predicative dative here, which was able to be an ornament to the city, was transported from that place, Carthaginem, to Carthage. Fuit apud Segestanos, there was among the Segestans a statue of Diana, made of bronze, invested not only with the most sacred, perfectum, praeditum, invested not only with the most, invested not only with the most sacred character, but also perfectum, but also finished with exquisite skill, but then finished with exquisite skill and with artificio and with beauty. When this was taken, or when this was transferred to Carthage, it only changed its position and its homines and its worshippers. But indeed it conservabat, but indeed it kept its previous pristinam religionem, but indeed it kept its pristinam, its previous religionem, religious sanctity. Nam, for on account of its propter, but for account of its outstanding beauty, of its amazing beauty, it videbator, it was seeming deponent verb there, even to its enemies, worthy of being worshipped sanctissime, most religiously. Next page. Illo. Only doing the first half today, so don't worry. Illo tempore. At that time, the same Diana. I don't want to get distracted and go into lots of details about the actual story itself, because then I'll forget about it. So at that time, the same Diana. So at that time, haec ipsa reditur, that same Diana is restored with the greatest care, cum maxima cura, to the Segestans. It is returned, reportator, to Segesta, passive there. It is replaced in its ancient situation. So it is reponator, it is replaced in its ancient situation with to the greatest joy and delight of its civium, of its citizens. Haec erat posita. It was placed at Segesta. Posita erat, was placed, had been placed at Segesta, locative there, high up on a pedestal on which there was carved in large letters the name of, on which it was carved in grandibus litteris, in large letters, in which had been engraved in large letters the name of Publius Africanus, and its per scriptum, and it was stated, that he had, indirect statement here, that he had restored it after Carthage had been ablative absolute taken. And it was inscribed that he had restored it when Carthage had been captured. Calebator, it was worshipped by the citizens, it was visited by the strangers. When I, temporal clause, was a quaestor, make sure you know what quaestors, praetors, and consuls are. When I was a quaestor, nothing was shown to me before it. It was the very first thing they showed me. Nothing was shown to me before it. It was a very large and tall statue. Sorry, it's just a van moving outside the office. It was a large and tall statue with a flowing robe, but in spite, however, in spite of its large size, it gave the appearance, but in spite of its large size, gave the appearance of the age and dress of a maiden. It had the appearance of the aetas, of the age and habitus and dress of a maiden. Note all the irony here. I said I wouldn't do this, of a person not being able to control his lusts for Diana, the goddess of abstinence. Arrows were hanging from her shoulder, and in her left hand she carried her bow, her right hand, and in her right hand she was carrying a burning torch. Hanc cum iste, when that enemy of all sacred things, when that hostis, when that enemy of all sacred things, and that praedo, and that violator of all religionem, religious scruples, had seen it, he began, where am I? Coepit, yeah, he began to burn, flagrare, with desire and with greed and insanity, as if he himself had been struck by that torch. Imperat, he ordered the magistrates to take the statue down, indirect command here, and to give it to him. Nihil, he said, indirect statement here, that nothing would be futurum, alternative form of fore, that nothing would be more welcome, comparative adjective here, that nothing would be more welcome to him. Illi, they said that it was impossible. They said that nefas esse, they said that that was not allowed for them. They said that it was impossible for them to do that. and that they tenere, that they were held back by the highest religious reverence, and then also by respect of the laws and the law courts. That man then begged from them, then he threatened them, minari, then he offered them hope, then he presented them with hope, then fear. It's all very Donald Trumpian. Opponebant, they opposed his demands in the name of Publius Africanus. They were saying that it was the gift of the Roman people, and that literally that nothing was in their power, and that they had no power over that which a most illustrious general, after capturing the city of the enemies, had wanted to be a gift, a monument of the victory of the Roman people. When that man, Hissin Iste, when that man had not at all relaxed in his demands, became in no way more submissive, something like that, and even more eager, the matter, and was pressing on day by day even more violently, the matter was brought before the Senate. This is, of course, the Senate, as the notes say, in Segesta rather than in Rome. It was argued violently on all sides, and so at that time, and at his first arrival at Segesta, it was refused. And so at that time, and at the first arrival at Segesta, it was refused. So at that time, at the first arrival of that man, it was refused. Afterwards, whatever burdens were able to be imposed on any city in respect of requisitioning of sailors and rowers being requisitioned, gerundive there. So afterwards, whatever burdens, whatever there was, partitive, genitive, whatever burdens could be placed upon a city in requisitioning sailors and getting corn, sailors and rowers, or in levying corn, he imposed that upon the Segestans, praeter, far ahead of all the others. Aliquanto amplius, and much more than they were able to bear. Quam, than they were able to bear. Praeterea, furthermore, he was calling their magistrates and anyone that was important and most known, and he would summon anyone that was so he was calling their magistrates before him, and he would send the most noble and the most virtuous. He would summon them, and then he would hurry them about with him to all the courts of justice, and he would drag them around with him to all the courts of justice in the province, and he would announce to them individually that he fore in direct statement again that he was going to be a cause of destruction to each one, and to them as a group that he would threaten that he was going to destroy, literally that he was going to turn over that state. Itaque. And so at last the Segestans, overcome by much abuse, by this great abuse, and by fear, by much ill treatment and by great fear, they decided to obey the command of the praetor. They decided to obey the imperio, the demand of the praetor, and with much mourning and wailing of the whole state, and with great grief and lamentation and mourning on the part of the whole city, with many tears and wailings on the part of all the men and women, with many tears of all the men and women, they tollendum locator, literally the order is made for the statue of Diana to be requisitioned. A contract is made for taking down Gerundivir, the statue of Diana. Very well done, everyone. I've got to rush over to middle school now because I'm late for my very first lesson. Congratulations and well done, everybody.